I got something real cool for y'all that I think, honestly, this, for many of you, it's so simple, but it can literally be a $25,000 or sorry, $250,000 idea for you. In writing copy, a lot of copy for some of the biggest campaigns and messaging, I've studied from a lot of the greats, whether it was Eugene Schwartz or David Ogilvy or Joe Polish or, Gary Halbert. And at the end of the day, right, messaging copy is human psychology. What gets a person to take action? And out of all of the different lessons and tools that I've learned along the way, I kind of took it and boiled it down to 5 steps that I think is, anytime you're crafting, whether it's an email or even for a book or a webinar or your website, it follows these 5 steps.
Have you ever had a challenge explaining what you do or how you do it coming across as confusing or overcomplicating it? If so, you're not alone. Many entrepreneurs can feel stuck when trying to communicate their message through their copy and marketing, whether that's on their website, in their emails or sales pages. It's one thing to know you can help your customers, but if you can't articulate it and others don't get it, it stops there. Here to help you communicate your vision and message through the power of copy is Jennifer Hudye. She's the founder and CEO of Conscious Copy & Co., short for company, which is the top copywriting company in the digital marketing space, where they help entrepreneurs articulate their vision and message in a way that inspires people to take action. Her clients have included household names like Strategic Coach, JJ Virgin, Bulletproof Coffee, Brendan Bouchard, Sally Hogshead, Cameron Harold, and yours truly, me. Last year,
my favorite.
Of course. I mean, how can it not be, right? So me and Jennifer, we co-led what was described as the world's greatest copywriting panel at the Genius Network annual event, where she shared the golden nugget. The goal of content is for people to understand you. The goal of copy is for people to feel understood. Today, we're going to talk about how to effectively and confidently articulate your company's vision and message in a way that's clear and gets people to take action on it. And one thing I'll add to that short bio of Jennifer is I've spent a lot of time with her, and she's actually done copywriting workshops at my headquarters here. She's also agreed that she'll do a longer session and stuff for Genius Network members for next year. And she really knows her stuff. She's really good at what she does. And so I think all of you are going to learn some amazing framing and ways to think about messaging. And so give it up for my dear friend, Jennifer Hudye.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. I'm super grateful to be here. I always get so much value from Genius Network. And one of the biggest things, I'll just start with this and then we can go into the interview. And then if there's any questions, one of the most common things that I see for really brilliant entrepreneurs is and just let me know if this resonates at all, is you have this really clear vision in your mind of what you want to create in the world, or you have a really clear message in your mind and you know how you want to articulate it. But then when it comes to actually communicating it or putting words on your website or words in your emails, it's like the space between how you see it in your mind and your hands, or being able to translate it into marketing, gets stuck somewhere. And we know that our vision or our message is only as effective as our ability to communicate it through written words. And, a lot of you know me for copy, and I just wanted to clarify the difference between messaging and copy, because we're going to really dive into both. But your message is what you really want to make sure that you start with first. Because your message is kind of like the atom of your marketing. And then your copy is an extension of your message. Your copy is the written words that sell your products and services through your emails, your landing pages, your sales pages, your website. And there's this process that I just wanted to share with you that I think will be really helpful for many of you in how to communicate your message, your core message. And if you imagine, it's kind of like there's an umbrella over top, and then there's 3 core messages. And all of the most, effective companies in communicating their message, and brands and influencers know how to do this. So the very top that kind of encompasses your message is what I call the through line message. And then below that, you have 3 core messaging pillars. And those 3 core messaging pillars are what supports your overall message. So let me give you an example of this. Who here obviously knows Amazon, right? Everyone's pretty familiar with Amazon. So they used to be an online book retailer, and then they kept growing and growing. And their through line message, what they're known for, is basically being the everything store. Even though they may not say that, that's how they're positioned in our minds. And then the 3 core messages to support that are the unique differentiators and typically a value or a way of being. So their 3 are, pillar number 1 is anything you want, or like a one-stop shop. Number 2 is quickly delivered. And then number 3 is customer centric. And at the core, that is Amazon's message. So any marketing they do is going to be reflective of that. Who here is familiar with Grant Cardone? Yeah, so an example of, say, a more influencer brand, his through line message is 10x your business, or 10x your business, 10x your life. That's what he leads with. His unique ways in which he teaches how to do that is 1, invest in real estate, 2, get good at sales, and 3, school sucks. Personal, invest in yourself and your own education in different ways. And if you look at any of his videos or his website or any marketing that he does, it's in that bucket. He's not straying from it at all. And so what's unique about this process is wherever you're at in your business, you may have had your core message. But if you're growing your business or you're expanding, if you ever struggle with feeling like you have to water down your message, or you're leading with something and there's so much more that you do, it's probably because there's a misalignment in your core message. And so anything that you craft with your copy or your marketing, it's just going to seem kind of janky. And that's kind of where I was at even this year, where, we became really known at Conscious Copy for copy. And when I made a commitment to redo our website, and went through this little mini identity crisis, because I was like, I feel like I want to expand a little bit more. But I knew that if I expanded too much in my message, then it could be watered down and come across as confusing. So I took out this model and really mapped out, okay, well, at the core of what we do, it's messages that inspire action. But there's many people out there who may, teach messages that inspire action, but our unique differentiation on how we do that is 1, through direct response copy, 2, by finding the authentic voice of the brand or the company, and then 3, really leaving people better than when we found them. That's our approach in our marketing and anything that we create. And so then that's how I was able to create some spaciousness in building out our new message, while still making sure that we came across as clear and concise without coming across as confusing and watered down. So that's like the little snapshot I'll share with you on messaging. And on Joe's team, if you wouldn't mind just popping there, I created a worksheet around this that y'all can use. And you can just pop it in the chat box there. So if you wanted to play around with what your core message is, you can use this worksheet to really start to map out, where are you positioning yourself in the marketplace? And you really want to be super careful that you're focusing on how you're positioning yourself to your ideal client. Because it doesn't matter what you think, but it matters so much of how does your ideal client see you, and make sure that you're positioning so that they get it.
Oops.
Oh, you're on mute. There we go.
Yep. I said, that's what I'm trying to say.
That's what I'm trying to say. You feel me? Yes. What's that? With Tony Robbins? Yes or yes.
Yeah. I mean, how many closers from, where do you draw the line on what you consider as too hypey, too outlandish in terms of the copy and stuff? Cause my whole thing is it's really hard to, make something more enthusiastic. So I'm more apt to, in the rough draft stages of writing copy, that you get outlandish and then you take it down to a real level, right? Versus like David Ogilvy, I've always loved his line, you cannot bore people into buying. And so a lot of people, they're boring, right? And you want to infuse enthusiasm and excitement into your copy, but you don't want to bullshit, mislead, exaggerate, that sort of thing. So how do you create parameters around your messaging there and at the same time being compelling?
You asked me that question.
I'm asking you that question.
Oh, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
that'd be great. We should get like the speakers on there and say, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I just had a script here. That's all I can say.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, but no, here's an example. Like, so let's take a super ethical person like a Joel Weldon, and then take like a really like over the top exaggerated freak show like Mike Koenig's. How do you balance the, I just wanted to say that to Mike to mess with it. And by the way, I'd like to hear Mike's answer to the same question. Seriously. So go ahead, Jennifer. What do you,
Yeah. So the first thing too, I think, is it's really finding out, like, for your company and your personality, what's authentic to you. Because I've worked with many clients who say that in their unique nature, like, they're not like funny and quirky and then they're like, help me write some copy that makes me come across as this. And it's like, that is going to, it's not going to land. So you do want to first figure out, like, where do you fall on that spectrum? But I do believe, either there's on one side of it, it's, the boring, dull, you're just trying to bore people into buying, which isn't going to work. And then on the other side is like the internet marketery copy that's super hypey, super aggressive. And I really do believe, like, creating conscious copy is like finding that middle ground. And the way that I will approach it is, number one, I'm always first looking at the research of who my ideal client is, what is the language that they're using, that they want, and making sure that I'm speaking in their language. And then often when I actually sit down to create the marketing or in the copy, I will go a little bit outlandish first and see, like, okay, if I'm just having fun and kind of playing with this, how outrageous will I make it? And then I'll dial it back a little bit and use the litmus test. Like, if my family, like if my mom went through my sales funnel and bought something or like interacted with it, would I be proud of that? And for me, that you can maybe choose another person, but it's like your marketing truly is a reflection of you. So if you read it and even you kind of cringe, then it's probably, off the mark.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there. Yeah, and there are a lot of people that make a lot of money lying for a living, and so there's lines that everyone draws. I tend to think of this long-term, don't sell or say anything that you wouldn't be proud of, that you can't stand behind. Mike, what are your thoughts since I asked you? What would you say?
Yeah, ask the question again, because I want to make sure I do it thoroughly.
Okay, it's a difference between, effective, powerful, marketing that works and is compelling. To use Dean Jackson's line, a compelling offer is 10 times more powerful than a convincing argument. So everyone here, their business would be way more effective in terms of desirability and sales if they were more compelling. And so I'm kind of giving some commentary here then to really frame the question. So hype used ethically is massive enthusiasm for what you're selling. Hype used unethically is lying, misleading, bullshitting, exaggerating, that sort of stuff. So how do you make a marketing that's really powerful, but at the same time stay on, to use the word brand, right, and to also be effective?
Okay, so there's a few key things. The first one is I believe that our responsibility as a business owner, a business leader, is a transfer of certainty. So your brand and your personality, your DNA is reflective in that. And you need to show up energetically so if people feel like they can be confident with you. So that's kind of the woo-woo side of this. The other one is if you think through the lens of Joseph Campbell. So your job is to show a story starring the prospect as the hero in a movie with you and your product and service as a guide. And how do you do that in the shortest period of time possible? The third is people will not argue stories or anecdotes, but they'll argue statistics all day long. So my preference then is open up with an imagine if, or have you ever wondered, or something where you are projecting them into a future-paced version of themselves. And then tell them an anecdotal story of someone who's experienced a transformation. And that is the key thing. You're selling a transformation, not a transaction. And if that individual can see themselves going through a process, and again, imagining themselves inside a short movie, and you've got the product or service, the magic wand, the talisman to get them to the other side, and you do that enthusiastically, and it doesn't matter what the medium is, whether it's a one-on-one conversation, a podcast, copy, or whatever, I think that's the secret. So it's a combination of those things is what I look for. And I think the way of doing that as a business owner is ask yourself right now, who's the best client I've ever worked with? Describe them and tell a transformational story about what it was like. And that becomes your leading story you use to create the transformational story that you tell over and over again. And if you have 3 of those, you win.
Awesome. So, Jennifer, do you want to say anything to either undermine or counteract or invalidate what Mike just said? No. Okay. All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to have you show the templates, and can we have people maybe work through them, or if we do a hot seat with someone here? And I want to do that in a minute. First I want to ask you, I'm going to go through some maybe rapid fire questions though. What are some mistakes that you see entrepreneurs run into when crafting their message or copy that you've not yet spoken to?
Yeah, I think Mike touched on several of them in his share, which number one, I would say is a mistake that I see happen a lot is trying to write copy before knowing what your actual message is and how to communicate to your ideal client. Because it's kind of like that saying, Joe, that you have, which is, what is it? The only thing that's worse than singing the wrong tune is singing it louder.
Yeah, which I actually originally, I think, heard that from Alex Mandossian, who's sitting downstairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so the first one of really, and that comes into a couple different layers. So the first one of getting really, really clear of who is your ideal client, like Mike mentioned, and really digging into not just the demographics, like, oh, my ideal client is Tony who lives in Florida and likes to golf. No. When it comes to messaging and copy, you got to go a layer deeper and really understanding, what are Tony's frustrations? What does he lie at bed at night thinking about in the area that you can really help him with? And most importantly, when it comes to your messaging and copy, what's the language that he is specifically using or she is using to describe their problem? So I see this a lot in like the financial planning space or the health space, where that you may be an expert and you're really like you know your stuff, and if you try to use the language that you would typically use versus your ideal client, it creates confusion. So in your copy, you may say like, "Hey, do you have an imbalance with your gut microbiome?" Well, the ideal client probably doesn't know anything about that, and they may have that problem, but they're probably not using that language. They may be using language like, my skin is breaking out all the time. I'm having anxiety and I don't know why. I'm getting a lack of sleep. I have weight gain that I don't know where it's coming from. So using that language is so, so important. And you're going to feel like, wait a minute, it can't be that simple, but it really is. One of the things that I'll share a lot in our different like workshops and stuff is good copy doesn't really come from inspiration. It comes from really good research. And the best place to find that is by literally having a conversation with your clients and documenting word for word exactly what they're saying. And then the third one I would say, as far as mistakes go, would be not necessarily knowing how to communicate your compelling offer. So oftentimes I'll ask people to tell me about your offer, and then they'll go immediately into the deliverables. Well, they get 3 meetings a year that are 2 days and 1 annual event. And it's like, cool, that's great, but that's actually the deliverable. That's not the destination that you're taking them to. And when you're communicating your offers and your messaging and your copy on your website, your landing pages, your sales pages, like 90% of that conversation should be about you telling them the destination that you're going to help them get to, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, how their life is going to be different. And then just a portion of that is, and here's how we're going to deliver it and help you get there.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Dan's slogans, did I say slogan? Dan Sullivan's slogan for the airline industry is "We're not happy till you're not happy," and they really like done great living up to that. So, Jennifer, why don't we do the first off? Talk about your business. I want you. What are different ways you help people? Because what's going to happen, similar to Evan Carmichael, where everyone's hitting them up for, can you do sessions? We're going to do a follow-up training, and you've also agreed to do that. Also, what does your business do? How do you help people? Because you've been hired by a lot of people, even me. 3 years ago when I first hired you to write email sequences and stuff. You're really excellent at a lot of different things. But what does your company do now?
Yeah, there's basically 2 ways that we help entrepreneurs and business owners. One is actually through the Vivid Vision process. So many of you are familiar with Cameron Herold's Vivid Vision, your 3-year Vivid Vision. And I actually believe your Vivid Vision, which is communicating 3 years into the future what your company looks like as if it's already happened. It's your sales page for your future. So we actually have a team of writers to help you first take the vision from your mind, communicate it, and then create it, design it all the way till you have it to use as your sales page for your future, for your clients, your team, your vendors, to get everyone enrolled into where you're headed. So that's one way. And then the second way is really through our messaging and copy services. So we help our clients with we have a whole messaging makeover process, which is helping them really get clear of how they're going to communicate their message in the market in a way that gets people to take action. And then we'll go into, okay, what does the different campaigns look like when it comes to copy? We no longer write an email sequence or anything like that, but we really help with the whole process of messaging and copy and really thinking through the whole strategy of like, how are you actually getting people to take action from your website or your emails or your landing pages? But can I make, just share, like if anyone's interested in just learning about any of that, you could just go to gnclaritycall.com. And I'm offering just for Genius Network annual event members, a complimentary call with either me or one of my team members to really help you map out like what message and vision do you want to share, what's getting in your way, and then what your next step is.
Yeah, well, see, and I almost have to do this now because Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy have kind of ruined it with who, not how, because now everyone's going to be thinking of who can do this, not how to do it. Even though if you do not understand how to do it, trying to expect someone to do it for you without at least understanding what you're looking for is way more difficult. And I think so much money's wasted on marketing. I've said this quite a bit, that one of the greatest services that marketers do for people that don't yet have effective marketing is teaching them how to stop being an advertising victim. Because there's a lot of things that are sold to people that simply is, they're selling advertising, but they're not creating effective advertising for the person that they're selling it to. And so when I started teaching marketing, that I learned after I spent, a couple of years going deeply into debt, being an advertising victim. And then I finally learned why my marketing wasn't working, because I didn't even understand what marketing was. And then I, created some really powerful copy, and I started to create advertising that worked. Then not only did my business start making money, I got completely out of debt. I actually quit throwing money down the drain. And there's that funny advertising thing, 50% of our advertising is working. We don't know which half. That's been said for years. Now, obviously, the more sophisticated we get with data, the easier it is to determine that. But a lot of people just have no clue how to do it. So not only can Jennifer's company help you with creating really effective messaging, but you'll actually probably, the amount of money that I think a good marketing, what it will do for you, it's not just what it could make for you, it's all the money you will quit wasting as a result of having that capability, if that makes sense. And I try to get people to see that and understand that, because a lot of times I'll say, hire this copywriter, get Summer Felix to do a draw shop video, hire you. And then, well, we're going to spend money in it. But if you just simply look at all of the lost opportunity costs of all the sales that they're not making, if they would have that in place, or worse, all these places are currently spending money with terrible messaging or terrible, target marketing and whatnot, then it all makes sense after they get that in place. And the vivid vision is unfortunately, Cameron's not on right at this moment. His son is, as part of Genius Youth. I really think, what advice would you give for young people? Because there's quite a few here as part of Genius Youth for going into the business of copywriting or learning marketing. Because I'll tell you, I never made any money in my life till I learned how to write copy and then how to hire copywriters. Mm-hmm. And I think copy is the oxygen that makes your business work. So I'm going to interview, James Nestor tomorrow. He's the author of the book Breath. When it comes to oxygen for your business, it is the copy, it is the marketing. So I think it's a great skill for young people to learn.
Totally. Yeah. I remember it was June of 2015. And I remember sitting on your couch at your place in Paradise Valley. And I told you how I was a copywriter and all that. And you're like, double down on that. If you really want to write the ticket to your own future, learn copy. And, I can tell you, even just as a, like a business owner, we're all crafting copy every single day. If you're sending out emails to people that you want to respond to your one-on-one email, if you're, you have job descriptions that you want to enroll top team and talent, if you're on podcasts, if you're writing books, like all of that, is at the core, you want people to take action in some sort of way through the power of your written word. So that's copy. One thing I will share too on like the who, not how. And I saw a couple people posted in here, Don Cooper and Bill Cates. We actually train, like my team and I actually train people's teams as well. Like if you have a marketer or copywriters on your team, we train them in our process so that, you know, you get these capable who's to do the how, so that when you come, you know, from a meeting like this and you're super excited, your team is probably experiencing Bohica, which is bend over, here it comes again. And then the translation between like your cool idea and the execution is probably like, you know, subpar at best. So we really support in that to make sure that they have the support there. You know, they have to be able to have expert copywriters that have written $1 million campaigns review all their stuff before it goes and launches.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So can you show the templates and the tools that you've created for everyone here?
Sure. So
now check this out, everyone. This is what I'm super excited about, because this wasn't just going to be a talk on messaging. It was going to show you some actually fill in the blank tools that you can take to your team. And I would actually have anyone working in your marketing department, including yourselves, because you're all in marketing, to actually go through these and utilize them, and you'll be able to use these forever in any particular area of messaging, online, offline, social media, websites. I mean, you name it.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So, you know, this is kind of what we covered with the worksheet, or with, you know, talking about what your core message is. And so you'll see the visual here is like, there's your through line message. This is kind of like all encompassing what the outcome that you deliver. And you want to really make sure here that you're not using like something too generic, or just going into what it is that you do. And then you go into your 3 pillars. So, the pillar number 1 is you really want to think about what is your one of your unique differentiators in your company. Here's the kicker though. It's like that your clients care about. If you survey your clients and you ask them, you know, why did you come to us? You'll probably hear a consistent thread, where they'll say why they came to you over someone else. And so you typically have 2 unique differentiators, which are the aspects that position your business as unique, that resonate with your prospects. And then your pillar number 3 is actually one of your unique beliefs around what it is that you do. So this may be linked to a value that you have in your company. So in the examples that I gave, you know, like with say Amazon, they're really focused on being customer centric. With Grant Cardone, like his kind of unique belief is school sucks. One of the other examples that I'll share sometimes is like Gary Vee, right? And if you look on his website, it's like building businesses, but his unique belief is hustle. He's not going to be talking on on podcasts how to work-life balance. So you really want to get clear of like, what is your unique belief? And when going through this, remembering that you don't want to be too broad. And this isn't necessarily what you care about. It's what your prospects care about. One other thing is that it's going to be really obvious to your clients, but it's probably not going to be obvious to you because you're a fish swimming in water. So that's why sometimes this process can be a little tricky, but it's not meant to be. So it can be helpful if you do it with someone or even, you know, a client of yours and just asking them these questions, and it'll become obvious.
Hey, Jennifer, can I do something really quick that's going to be completely self-serving, but also demonstrative. And it's interesting because in the process over the last few weeks, when the people that have participated, I've had a lot of comments when I've been asking people to put things in the chat that they're like, man, I could do this in my own company. This is a great way to crowdsource what people think about it. Could I ask everyone for like a minute to write, like what you're talking about, pillar number 2, why did you choose Genius Network over any other option or any other group? Or, you know, and if I know many of you are in multiple different forms of discussions, trainings, masterminds, etc. I'd love to have you just like type for a minute. Why did you choose Genius Network over other options? If you could just, let's take 1 minute to do that. And I'm going to walk away for a minute. And I'll explain why I'm doing this when I get back.
This is great. So a lot of consistent ones, it's like access at the core, meaning people aren't just pitching me from stage. This is great.
Now think about if I gave all this to you, Jennifer, that's happening right here. So see all of you Socratic methods of asking people just questions will give you some of the very best copy. And then if it's assembled and orchestrated and put together in a way that it, I mean, you could do this. And I'm encouraging people to do this with your own clients. And see, the beauty of it here is instead of me trying to guess what people are thinking or what they want, I just ask you, what is it? And then that's how we've designed all of the curriculum for this annual event, and how we're designing all the curriculum and the result-based, capabilities we're assembling and putting together for next year is simply by finding out what our members actually want the most and doing our very best to deliver those capabilities. And so what you're seeing from Jennifer here are just simply templates and ways to get to the questions and do the thinking on this.
Yeah. So there is like, it's so fascinating too, right? Because I mean, the one hands down is just like truly like the highest, being one of the highest level networks for entrepreneurs. But then in the way in which you create that, I think the most obvious unique belief as far as pillar number 3 goes is you're saying life gives to the giver. Like at the core, that's why Genius Network works so well, is because your belief in that, Joe. Can everyone agree? It's like, you know, that you're going to come into another room of givers who are going to be of value.
Yeah. Oh, Jennifer, can I ask this one thing here, because it was sent to me privately, so I won't mention the person's name, but it says, how do we take Jennifer's message forward for a startup where there are no clients to ask?
Well, this is my belief, is even if you don't have any clients yet, I would be interviewing who your ideal clients are.
Yeah, exactly. Most of your businesses here is because you've identified a gap in the marketplace, and you were able to create a business and an idea around it. And so, ask people what frustrates them most about your category. Come up with, those types of questions for prospects and for people that will be like Jennifer just mentioned, your ideal prospect. And then the person wrote, thank you. That makes perfect sense. Obvious when you think about it. Thanks. Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah. The biggest thing, like when it comes to messaging and copy, that I believe it is like, none of it should be it's not a riddle. It's actually a lot more obvious than we realize when we really listen and see what are our ideal clients saying or our clients saying, and using that same language to then lead with. So just, this is like a rough draft, Joe, of, I'm trying to go through the comments as quick as I can. But that core of like Genius Network being, one of the highest level groups for entrepreneurs. That's really like one of the clear through line. And then the way in which you do that, one is the network. So access to people that you typically couldn't get access to. I do believe you're saying like every problem can be solved with the right Genius Network. So the ideas, the solutions that come from it, and then life gives to the giver. So that belief of people are showing up to be of value, and you can come to the highest level group and not have to feel like you have your guard up. That's like a very kind of rough draft. I'm curious if that lands.
No, that totally fits, because even, if you take the very first tool that I did at Genius Network, the My Genius Network tool with the 8 circles, and I'll talk about that maybe tomorrow. It really is about identifying the right who's, but focusing on the way to get what you want is to identify, other people. Who are they? And how do you help them get what they want? And when you help them get what they want, they naturally will want to help you. And if you come at that with a giver sort of mentality, not a taker, then it really works. I mean, it's like, if there's anything that I've gotten in my life, it's just by being useful and valuable to people in the best of ways. And for the people that it is, they tend to become clients. Do you want to share these right now, or you want to do that later?
Oh yeah, if you want to go into that now, we definitely can. I didn't know if we were going to do the copy breakout session or not.
Yeah, I want to do the copy breakout session. So what, you want to do that first, and then we'll show the other stuff later, however you want to do it.
Sure. How much more time do we got?
How much time do we got for breakouts, Eunice, based on the timing? We have about 20 minutes. Okay. All right. So yeah, we can go for 20 minutes, Jennifer. So cool. Between what we say now and then the breakout. So we can either go for 10 minutes and then put people into a 10-minute breakout. We go for 5 minutes, 15-minute breakout. Totally.
Okay, cool. So here's what I'll do. Give me one moment, because I didn't know that we were going to do this, but I can roll with the punches. I got this. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Copy clips. Okay. So.
Yeah, by the way, you guys pay $25,000 a year just to see me do improv all the time. You think I plan any of this shit? I mean, come on.
I got this.
Look, I've been doing groups for 22 years, since 1998. So even if I appear like I don't prepare, I think I've been preparing for 22 years. So, and my team does. The beauty of it is my team actually prepares, and I just show up and do my thing. Who not how? Yeah. So
I got something real cool for y'all that I think, honestly, this, for many of you, it's so simple, but it can literally be a $250,000 idea for you. In writing copy, a lot of copy for some of the biggest campaigns and messaging, I've studied from a lot of the greats, whether it was Eugene Schwartz or David Ogilvy or Joe Polish or, Gary Halbert. And at the end of the day, right, messaging copy is human psychology. What gets a person to take action? And out of all of the different lessons and tools that I've learned along the way, I kind of took it and boiled it down to 5 steps that I think is, anytime you're crafting, whether it's an email or even for a book or a webinar or your website, it follows these 5 steps. And essentially what it is, it's the 5 C's. So the first one is anytime you're writing something, you first want to capture attention. Robert Collier used to say, if I had $1 to spend on advertising, I would spend 80 cents just on that initial headline, like the attention grabber, how to capture attention. Because if we don't capture attention, nothing else matters. And then number 2 is you want to create interest. How do you intrigue the person to keep reading or keep watching? Going back to what Evan shared earlier, that first minute, capture attention is essentially your headline for your YouTube video. But then that first minute is a story or a hook, something compelling to grab them in and keep reading or listening. Number 3 is clarifying benefits. How can you then sell the destination to whatever it is that you're selling and really paint the picture of that for your ideal client? Number 4 is credibility and trust. How can you weave in social proof so that they can believe that they can genuinely trust you? And then number 5 is call to action. So anytime you're creating any sort of copy or marketing, there's that even in ADA, action. Are you sending them to comment, to purchase, to book a call? So literally I'll use this anytime, even when I'm writing an email one-on-one to a person. If it's like a joint venture partner, I'm thinking about this. And specifically what we'll go into is a template that we use at Conscious Copy. A lot of you will see these types of templates out in the marketing world. They're not new concepts, but there's 15 high-level client headlines. These are headlines that you can use on your website for your sales pages, for your websites, your YouTube video. If you're wondering, okay, what would I title these YouTube videos? The subject lines of your emails, everything. You use these headlines. And Joe, if you wouldn't mind, or Joe's team, I'll pull it up here. The high-level client headlines. Oh yeah, cool. We have awesome. So there's this doc as well that y'all will get, which is just a portion of our training. And in here, you'll see that there's these plug and play templates that you can use for your messaging. So one would be how to get what they want, meaning your ideal client, without having to do something they don't want to do, even if there's some sort of objection they have. So it'd be how to get more high-level value clients without having to increase your lead flow, even if you're not sure where to find them. Or discover the step-by-step way to get the ultimate benefit your ideal client wants using your new method or process. So this is one of our clients that we literally use is discover this $4.5 billion hedge fund manager's future-proof formula for how to identify, buy, and market STS properties so you can maximize financial return with minimal risk. So I won't go through the other 15. You can pull them up here. But what I think could be kind of fun, if we wanted, we can even tie it together into, YouTube, but maybe there's some sort of marketing that you're working on right now. Maybe, you're thinking about doing YouTube, but you're wondering what would one of my first videos be? Pull up this template and choose one of these and see how you can come up with a couple different ideas for your headline. Or maybe you're working on a webinar and you're trying to figure out what the headline or the name is for it, or a sub headline for a new book. So you can take these and just plug and play your own content into them. Each one has an example and the outline. Mm-hmm. So what we can do is we can go and, do y'all find this helpful?
Yeah. Well, I'm finding it. Let me ask. That's kind of a stupid response from me. Oh yeah, Jennifer, this is great for me. What do you guys think?
So what we can do if you want, Joe, is we can just take a minute for, how about 60 seconds right now, and just pull up the template here and see if you can create 1, 2, 3 templates for something that you want to sell right now.
And as you can see from the comments, people are finding it really useful. And the ones that aren't commenting, or maybe they're
watching cat videos on YouTube.
Right. And if you are going to watch cat videos, then make sure you at least add the link so it pulls up all of your videos to the side of the cat video, which you can actually do.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, just take a moment here, see if you can, and there's a difference between like looking at it and being like, yeah, I'll do this later, but give it a shot now, because we can even, take some time I can give feedback as well.
Yeah. Do you want people type it, or do you want to have people type it into the chat, or should we give it to, and then we'll put them in the breakouts? Why don't we do that?
That'd be great.
So everyone take a minute to go ahead and pick one and write it out.
Here, I'll play some writing music. How about that? Give me 1 second.
We can just sing, Jennifer.
Do you want me to sing?
Yeah, go for it.
From the windows to the walls. Love that one, Anna. Erin and Jocelyn, that one is fantastic.
Linda Fogg, how to get your clients to stick to their plan without nagging them like their mom does. That's great. All of you in financial services could just steal Mimi dues.
Yeah, so there's a couple pieces of feedback here. Let's see. Like Michael, for example, I'll shut off the music. 3 mistakes you should avoid when creating your own videos. That one's fantastic because you also, you want to use these templates, but you really want to anchor back into what does your ideal client actually care about, and making sure that you're using the language and the words that reflect that. So that one, there are probably, if you're in the, video business and people are trying to create their own videos, they want to, possibly avoid certain mistakes or, but, you can, for sometimes I'll see people use those where it's around things that people maybe don't care about as much, or it's what you care about and not what your ideal client cares about.
These are actually really freaking good. I mean, this is like creating a massive swipe file in real time.
Increase your success and happiness and get your life back. Yeah. And one thing I share when it comes to copy is the more that you can paint the picture, the better. So what would getting their life back look like? In whatever area you can help them with, and how can you paint the picture of that in the headline or give a particular scenario? One example that I'll share is one of my clients said, how to, skyrocket your love life was their headline. And then we shifted it to how to wake up more in love with your spouse than you did when you met them. Mm. And you can get that visual, and it's like, that's, it just emotionally, it feels different.
Jennifer, how would you recommend that?
How to wake up more in love with your spouse than you did when you met them. Well, I'm not married yet. I think my love is on this call.
Well, I mean, Mimi Do is here in the room. She says, I could answer that. And I'm sitting there going like, God, like what sort of drugs does that require? What sort of mental deterioration does that? Yeah, a lot of plant medicines. And she wants to verify she's never done plant medicines yet. Okay.
But that will probably help.
Yeah, exactly.
I have, and I'd approve that message.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.